Hey, y'all. Thank you so much for being here on this crazy Tuesday night. What do we got? 6 days before Christmas. It's hard to believe this year's already over. So tonight we are going to be talking about living hinges in a nerdy, geeky way that is going to be a little bit tedious at first, but then we're going to just say the heck with all that and just actually get into a few living hinges and what I've learned over the last year and a half playing with living hinges. I've actually sat down and tried to figure out all the math and found out really that it's a little bit of a waste of time because there's so many other factors that come into play. If things were always perfect, if the wood was always flawless, if there was always the right atmospheric condition, if the planets always lined up perfectly, then yeah, the math might always work, but the math don't always work. So let me get over here to the comments and see. We got 30 people here. I thank everybody for showing up on, like I said, a Tuesday night. I've actually I started to record this and put it up as a video, and I'm like, this is actually a little bit more fun doing this, and then I can address questions directly and try and help people out. And what we're going to do tonight is, like I said, I'm going to go over a little bit of the technical stuff about the hinge, what it is, how it works, then show you a couple of swatches that I have. And then Michael had asked about looking at a very specific hinge. And so I'm going to, for those who want to hang around long enough, I'm actually going to design one. I did that in the video where we made this, and I hit a stumbling block. Anytime you do something live, you always have problems. There's always a gremlin's going to stick his head up. We don't know where he's at tonight, but he'll probably be here. And I designed this 3 or 4 times before ever going live, and never ever had an open path. As soon as we were live, had an open path, and I was like, I what's going on? I don't short circuit, and so it kind of derailed me for a minute, and so I kind of lost my flow, and things got a little jumbled, but we got there in the end. So things hopefully will not get derailed tonight. So I've been talking with a lot of you guys, and let's see who all's already here. And Jack in the shop, I think he was here 3 or 4 hours early. Jack, man, you're crazy. You are a crazy dude. All right, Andy, yes, Chicago Bob, Michael, we said hello. I appreciate everybody being here. And I put a message in there for anybody just now showing up. If you have any projects that you have already completed utilizing living hinges and you'd like to show them off, if you will email me a photo of that project at hobowithwood@gmail.com. Here in a few minutes, I'm going to jump over my email and open up any emails I've got and kind of show off some of the viewers' projects and see what you've been up to, what you've been doing. And Jack, we're going to talk about math for about a minute because, like I said, the math, it's great but it doesn't always work. Jerry's in the shop. Jerry's in the house, I should say. Jerry. Who all's here? Oh, we got Clack. Got his popcorn ready. And yeah, Clack, like I said, I'm going to geek out. Clack geeked out on his technology the other day with his Elgato Streamcaster, I think it was. But I'm going to geek out on you on the math and the technical terms of a living hinge so you can better understand on what it's doing, what has to happen, and what has to give, and what is it's giving, where is its breaking point. And I'm going to share a file with you that I did these swatches on, along with a test, a radius test piece, so you can start to see this yourself firsthand. Because really, if you've never done these before and you haven't played with the different variations, until you start to really feel it and look at it and inspect how it's working, you can't really appreciate what those minute differences are doing. Let's see here. Chicago Bob, we already said hello. Mark, Northern California. Michael's in Wisconsin. Ed's here, and good evening, Ed. Ed's one of the ones that's been hitting me up in the email. And what brought up this follow up is I was slammed with emails and questions about specifics on the Living Hinge, because we didn't go into that in any real detail in that one previous design. Let's see here. Oh, Dale, you down in Pensacola? Man, I love that area. I visited Pensacola and Pensacola Beach, and my dog loves the dog beach down there. That was my first time visiting the upper panhandle of Florida and Destin. Oh man, that's a gorgeous area. Let's see. Just want to say hello. See everybody's out there. Ho, ho, ho to you, Jerry. Chris, glad you're here, my brother. Lori's. Wow. Okay. We got 40 people in here. All right. Plus counting. All right. I don't want to keep just going. Yeah. Stream Deck. Not Streamcaster, Stream Deck. That's where, if you guys are watching Clack, and most of all of you are, that's where his drum rolls come from and all that. He's got that little button. He can just pump, get his, laughters and all that. If you hadn't seen that and you want to see the geeky technology behind it, that was a fun video to watch. Math is evil. Yes, it is. It is a 4-letter word. And Carl is here. And Carl, I want to say thank you. I received your Christmas card, and that's cool. It's snowing on your Christmas card. That is cool. And I got your 3D printed ornament. Unfortunately, the mail was not nice to it. It broke off the little tab, but I've still got it. I'll do a little super glue, and it's going to be good as new. So thank you for that, and Merry Christmas to you and yours. Okay, now let's kill this snow. And let's kill this and go away. And we got that. All right, now let's look at this right here. Getting this over here done. Give me a second while I get everything dragged where I want it to be. Snip. New snip. All right. Now this is, where did you go? There you are. And switch and switch. All right. Hopefully now you are seeing, let me blow this up real big. This is a cross section. I didn't want to do that. Control Z, undo. Undo, you dog. That's a cross section of a Living Hinge, and it's just a little bitty small area, and it's identifying the pieces of this Living Hinge. And this is my perception of what's going on with a Living Hinge and what I think of when I'm designing it. This area right here, and I will use my little pen. That area right there, it doesn't flex, it doesn't move. That is your main body here, and that's a solid piece into your first row of torsional links. And this would continue on, and this would be a solid piece. This is a solid piece. And here they're showing you that this area right there is what they're calling the torsional link. And some of you know I am a former auto mechanic, and I know torsion bars on suspensions of pickup trucks and vehicles. And I'll talk to you about what torsion bars do and torsion links are doing. But this is your torsion link, and this is the part of the Living Hinge that's actually allowing the Living Hinge to do what it does when it does what it does. And it's the question is, how many rows of torsional links do you need in order to accomplish the amount of curvature that you need whenever you're designing your part? And then how long do you need these cuts to be in order to create, how long does that torsional, how wide does that torsional link need to be? And I'm just went completely brain dead on who inspired this whole fiasco of Living Hinges. And I'm so sorry about that, but this was posted in our Laser Makers Realms group. It was a group on Facebook. It was a 3D printed piece, and he wanted it done in wood. And I showed how you could do that. He did a living hinge of his own and actually took this and expanded it to where it was 5 or 6, to where you had multiple sanding discs in it. And it looked really cool, except there were a few pieces in areas where his living hinge, he actually took this and actually looked like he just scaled it out. And by scaling that out, and because wood does what a wood does, there were areas of it that began to sag or droop because those cuts were too long. And so it doesn't scale well. And I typically, when I do my living hinge, that horizontal cut is usually somewhere between 1.25 inches to 1.75 inches, depending on how wide or big the project is. Now, if you want to tune me out for just a second, Jack, we're going to get into the nerdy part, because let's see, snipping tool, new snip, new, and snip. And all right, now switch. This is the mathematical equation, or a mathematical equation, that will tell you how many rows you need, how many rows of torsional links you need. No, not that one. That's where you're figuring out all your curve. Sorry, I got the wrong one. Let's go back to snip. Snip, snip, snip. Snipping. New snip. And this is going to blow a lot of your mind. It blew mine. All right. And now bring that over and zoom in there. All right. This is the number of torsional rows you need. The number of torsional rows needs to be greater than or equal to the radius divided by pi divided by 4 less than, what is it? The inverse cosine of the laser, the curve of the laser plus the thickness of the material divided by 2 times the square root of the thickness cubed divided by 2. Did you get that? So like I said, that's the end of the math. You can pause that, back up and look at that and play with it all you want to. But I'm going to tell you, it's more aggravating than it's worth. And I'm going to show you now what I did and how I figured out what works best for me. And when I'm working with 3mm wood, 4.5mm wood, doesn't really matter. It is kind of all in fact, it would probably be a pretty good easy spreadsheet to do, a pretty easy spreadsheet to do, to figure out and do some testing on a bunch of different materials and put a spreadsheet together to confirm this. But I think it will scale accordingly. But let's kill that. And now I'm going to kill that. Let's jump over into Lightburn. Oh, no, you know what? No, I'm not going to go to Lightburn yet. I'm going to show you the swatches that I made, the test pieces, and then the radius pieces and what I learned from these pieces. I've got 4 pieces right here, and these are all identical as much as possible. And before we get into all of these, let me jump over here and look at the comments that make sure nobody's blowed up or saying, hey, what? Hey, oh, yeah, Bordello should say, what? I'm guessing you're looking exactly. That math equation is, nah. All right, one more reason I haven't done a living hinge. Well, I tell you, once you see this, it's going to be so easy. And Chris says it actually makes sense to me because I'm guessing maybe you've got some mathematician background and you understand all that trigonometry and the inverse cosines and I knew the answer. I knew the answer was 23 and my material and my curve and all that. And I tried to back into it. It's like one of those deals where you had your trig book and it was one of those odd questions. You had the answer in the back, but I couldn't show my work. I could not get there to save my life. So let's look at these swatches. And I've got 4 different, and they're all the same size, but there's a variation in all 4 of these. And then I've got a variation of this variation. So what I've got here, this one is the first cut that I did. And I'm working with 3mm Baltic birch plywood. Now, I think Dale mentioned that whenever he does this, he felt like he learned that you needed to do the hinge with the grain. Well, on some woods, it'd probably be more of a problem than others, but on this, and I don't know how well you're going to see it on here, but that little 3mm Baltic birch, man, that has got the thinnest little veneer on it. And I have no idea what that filler is, but I don't think it's another. Typically on plywood, you see grain running this way and then grain running this way, and they alternate the grains. But this is, I think, some kind of filler, and then with a veneer over it, it's really good stuff. And because of it being a filler, I think maybe that's why it's always flat and true and it doesn't do crazy stuff. But because of that, with this material, grain isn't that relevant. In fact, this one, the grain is running vertically instead of horizontally. But this was cut on a X spacing of 3mm and a Y spacing of 3mm. It was generated in the grid array tool. So the horizontal cut has a 3mm spacing between them, and then a 3mm spacing between the rows. Now I do that because if we go back to that diagram, that little bitty block right there in the in between, we'll get my fingers right. No, wrong way, Conway. There. That little block right there, if we were able to take and cut that on either side of it and pull it apart, that would be a perfect 3mm cube because it's 3mm wood and I get a 3mm spacing and 3mm line either way. And I think that keeps the most structural, makes this the strongest it could possibly be, the way that I see it working. Now, in between that block and that block, there's that torsional link that they called it. This wood is not bending. It's twisting. And it can only twist to a certain point, and then it's going to snap. And I've got this piece here that I snapped on purpose. And this, there's going to be exceptions to this. There's no absolutes. But generally, when a living hinge fails, it fails at the torsional link. There, this one you can see better. See, those blocks are still there and intact. It broke in the middle of the torsional links because those little bitty pieces of wood between those solid blocks, they're actually twisting as you bend that wood down. Just like a torsion bar on a 4-wheel drive pickup truck, they'll have a 45mm steel bar. It's just a plain bar. It's fixed in one end, fixed in the other end of the suspension, and then they start to twist that bar. And when they do, it'll raise and lift the vehicle, the torsion of that bar. Well, here, when we bend it, that torsion is what's allowing that wood to flex, but it has a breaking point. So that is my starting point when I do a living hinge. Is if I'm working with 4.5 millimeter wood, then I'll do 4.5 millimeter X and Y spacing. But if you're working with something and you've got a really tight radius, this may not give you the bend you need. So then what I'll do is I'll step it down by 0.5 millimeter, still keeping my X to 3 millimeters, but my Y spacing is only 2.5 millimeters. So side by side, is that my 3? Yeah, it's the 3 and 3. So you can see there's quite a few more rows of torsional links on this one than there is this one. And by doing so, this one is going to flex like that, and she's gets a little stiff. Compared to this one, she gets a little more flex. Step it down to 2 millimeters, and now it's really starting to flex. I don't think that it's getting any weaker because I'm keeping that 3 millimeter block there the same. You're just allowing a lot more. There's a lot more torsion bars rotating, a lot more torsion links that are rotating. So you're not asking as much from one of these as you are 3 of those. Then I took it a step further, and this one is 1.5 millimeter Y spacing. And how floppy is it? And this, you can, and it's strong. So have I lost anybody? Let's see where we're at in the comments. I got to go back up here. If Dave masters the math, we can do the physics of a living hinge. All right. The jacket alone is worth it. Or it's worth a like, guys. Yeah. So yeah, I have not asked you yet to like the video because I only want you to hit that thumbs up and like it. In fact, guys, if I seen this on a video the other day, and because a lot of my video, you guys, I don't see a lot of comments because I talk, teach, talk. If I say something or do something and you're sitting there watching it, it's something you've learned, just go over in the comments and just put a number 1. You learned something, just a 1. And then if you learn something again, just do number 2. Third time you learn something, do number 3. That I like that idea because that lets me know that, hey, number 1, you're there. And 2, you are actually learning something. And this was worth both of our times to take the time to do it. Let's see here. Jack says he's got it, but Lori says, I think my brain just expired. Well, hopefully that was early on in the math discussion. And now once we've thrown that out the window, we start talking about the physical characteristics. Hopefully it's become a little bit more clear. Mark says, hey, can you show that again? Not. All right. Let's see. Hey, we got our first super sticker. Thank you, Mike. And I haven't even passed the plate yet in this video. So thank you very much. It is greatly appreciated. All right. Jimmy Lee says, is that what that was? I thought we were sending coded messages to the mothership. I don't know. I don't know what that was about. Clack says, I can calculate the wind value and drop off 168 gallons a gallon using the ballistic coefficient, but that was way too much. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and actually, like Chris said, it's actually probably pretty simple. But I don't think it's that relevant because there are so many extenuating factors with the wood that it's kind of like settings. People are asking about settings for their cutting, but as far as I'm concerned, settings, if I don't even like to share settings because they're always a kind of a starting point. And people's like, well, that didn't work for me. Well, no. If you're at a higher altitude, it's going to burn different. I don't like to share settings. The math would get you close, but this is going to get you even closer because I'm going to show you what these can do and what I learned with these. Let's see here. Chris, is the numbers say the spacing is what affects the rigidity of the bend. Yeah, the more torsion links you get in there, it's the bend becomes less rigid. I don't think that you are increasing the actual torsion ability of the wood. It's just that you've got a whole lot more of them that are flexing. So it allows you to get it that much further. That's the way it's kind of like I started to do a big demonstration with some pieces, but it didn't quite work. It's like, okay, if you come apart a little bit, it can, because they don't physically touch until you get really extreme, but the torsion limit does. Here, you might, if you put it in a little cut like that, then you reach your torsion limit, and that's as far as it's able to rotate. But if you put a bigger cut in there, you can get more before your torsion limit. And by putting more and more torsion links in there, it's the equivalent of getting a larger cut. Because when you're cutting with your laser, you can't increase your kerf to get a larger cut, but you can increase the number of them that are rotating. So the more of them that are rotating that small amount in a shorter distance, it creates a sharper curve in a shorter distance. That's the way I understand it. All right. Done lots of ones. That's good. A lot of people learn something. 1, 2, 3, Chris. Okay. All right. Boat tail hollow point. Oh, okay. We're talking about ammo. Boat tail hollow point. All right. I got one up there, and I've got a few more, but I've got them there just for protection. And I'm not into the hunting and all that good stuff. All right. Now, let's go back to these, the same 4 swatches. And what I did was I created 2 radius gauges. And each corner has got a different radius on it. 5, 10, 15, and 20. I just covered up 20. And then 25, 30, 35, and 40. Now, this is what I learned from doing this experiment, preparing for this live stream. If I take my good old trusty 3-on-3 and I look at what it can do in the way of a radius, I'm going to put the 40 up here. And all of these radius are 90 degrees. That from here to here is 90 degrees with a 40 millimeter radius. And this will bend over and make a nice tight fit on that 40 millimeter radius. And it does it without forcing the wood, and it gives it a tight, flush fit all the way around. But if I go to the 30 millimeter, which is there, it has to force, and you can't really see it that well, but it's no longer fitting as flush. There's gaps in around the perimeter. So 3 millimeter wood with a 3 X and Y spacing does a 40 millimeter radius perfectly. And we step it down from the 3 millimeters to the 2.5 millimeters. Grab that one. 2.5. All right. It went from 40 to 30. Perfectly. I mean, fits like a glove. Then stepping down from 2.5 to 2, it stepped down another 10 millimeters to 20 millimeters. So 20 millimeter radius, nice and flat and perfect. Absolutely perfect. So every time I stepped it down a half a millimeter on the Y spacing, I was able to gain or actually lose 10 millimeters on the radius. So if we are at 30 on, or at 20 at 2.5, we go to 1.5, we'll go to 10 millimeters. That tight radius, 90 degrees, X spacing 3 millimeters, Y spacing 1.5. Get it nice and flat, 90 degrees all day long. Now, any questions? Nope. All right. Very good. All right. Now, jump over here to Lightburn for just a second. Menu switch, Lightburn. All right. So this is the part of the file that I'm going to share with you guys. So you can cut these out and do these yourself and see just how well this works. And keep in mind that 3-on-3 is great at 40, 30, 20, and 10. But then what I wanted to do is what I said a minute ago was when you're cutting these with the laser, your laser's passing back and forth. The kerf of your laser is the kerf of your laser. You can't ask for, hey, I need more kerf here. But what you can do is create a cut that emulates a larger kerf. And I wanted to see what would happen if I did that. How much more flexibility do I get from a larger cut? So what I did was I took this exact same set of 4. And I can't, in fact, I'll zoom in here real tight and show you on one of these. What I did was I took that Living Hinge and went to an offset, an outward offset, and I did a point, what did I do? A 0.1 millimeter offset. And everything's grouped right now. I ain't going to show you that. So let's come over here. So that is a 0.1 millimeter offset of the original Living Hinge. And that's so small. And since it's a 0.1 millimeter offset from the original line, it's actually 0.2 millimeters now because, in fact, can I select that? Is it all grouped? Ungroup, ungroup. I want to verify what I just told you. Yeah, 0.2 millimeters in height. And that, by doing that, I've got 4 more swatches that are the same original spacings, X 3 and 3, but this is the one with the 0.1 offset. So it's, do you follow me? I've made that kerf bigger. So I want to see, let's grab these side by side. And what I was trying to determine was how much of a difference does the kerf make on when cutting with the laser. And those are both 3/3s. Yes. All right. So this one, no additional kerf. And that's about as far as I want to flex it. And this one, now that, not a lot, but it's nowhere near as tight. A lot more flexibility there. And compared to that one, we did 40 millimeter radius. Throw it on the floor. Oh. With no additional kerf, it did 40 millimeter radius perfectly. With the additional kerf, we're going to go to the 30 millimeter and see what we get. And it's perfect. Will it do 25 millimeters? Yes, it will. 25, 20 millimeters. Yes, it will. Will it do, let's push it. Will it do 15? There we're starting to see a little bit. It'll go, but you can see there it's starting to get some light. There you go. See the light there? You can see my face back there. So it didn't quite go 15, but the other 3-on-3, it really only wanted to do 40. But by putting that extra kerf in there, we got more flex out of it. And I'm not going to continue to demonstrate that on all of these, but I want to show you these were all the same original pieces, but done with the additional offset on the cut. And I want to show you this one. This is the 3 millimeter with the 1.5Y and the 0.1 offset additional kerf. And that one, if it was long enough, it would wrap up around itself again. And there's no cracking, no nothing going on there. This is as intact and as strong. Well, it's not as strong as it was to begin with, but there's good rigidity there. All right. So let's go to the comments. All right. Now, guys, this is things that I've learned. One of the first things I did when I showed it, and I don't know where it's at now, but the purse that I did was one of the first files I ever created. I was playing with boxes.py, and a few other boxes have living hinges, and one of them had a double hinge and then a flat area on the top. And I was like, if that thing was rounded all the way across, and I said, that could be a neat little lady's purse. And so I've been playing with these for a long time, but I don't have any other education experience except for just firsthand experience playing with them. And I didn't dive into the math part of it until I started getting slammed with email questions about the math. And I was like, well, let's go see what we can figure out. But like I said, I think the math for generating the living hinges are kind of like the settings you get in settings libraries. They're just starting points. Because it was close. The 3-on-3 that I've got here, I think this is a total of about 30 cuts. And that mathematical equation said that for 3 millimeter wood to do a 90-degree radius like we just did, it was going to need 23 cuts. And I've got 30 cuts here. So it works. And I'm sure in today's world and today's technology, you could probably get on some of these AIs and go, yes, please generate for me a living hinge made for 3 millimeter wood, and it needs to be this and this. Give it all the dimension, and they probably spit one out for you in 2 seconds. But what's the joy in that? I want to do it. I want it to be my creation. And so these things that I'm sharing is just from what I've observed and have experienced. And that's all I can do is share my experience with you. Now, we've talked about everything tonight in 3 millimeter wood. My first purse I did, it was 4.5 or 4.7 millimeter wood from Lowe's. And I did, where this is 3-on-3, I did 4.7 and 4.7. And there's no scientific proof for it. Ain't nobody went and said, hey, that's absolutely right. And I've got nothing in writing to show it. But I just feel like I keep my hinge the strongest it can be by keeping those perfect cubes. So if it's 4.7 millimeter wood, I do 4.7 millimeter spacing and all that to try and keep that. And again, I ain't got no proof, But the way my mind works and the way I'm picturing what's going on with the wood, that's keeping my wood the strongest it can possibly be. All right. So any questions about anything that we've talked about? Looks like we got Rich in the shop now. Rich, what's he saying here? Instead of using an offset, yeah, you could use ovals, but the reason I did the offset, Rich, is because I already had the cut. The hinge was already there. All I had to do was just select the hinge and just do an offset, delete the original, and it created. And in fact, it creates an oval. It changes from a straight flex cut to a parabolic flex cut, which is used for extreme bends. But yeah, take that off. Go back over here. Go to here. Come over here, and we'll get these things ungrouped this time. That's what it was. I had everything grouped. We're going to ungroup this. So when you download this file, guys, just know that you might want to check the grouping before you start moving stuff around. Ungrouped. All right, all that's ungrouped. So now I'm just going to grab that one living hinge, and then I'm going to go to my offset tool, and then I did a 0.02 offset, or no, a 0.1 offset. I did a 0.1 offset outward. Delete the originals. And if you go in real tight, and I did round. And so that is more, and delete the original and say, okay. And so that's more or less what you're saying is, you can do it with ovals, but instead of creating another whole new tool path or a whole new living hinge, I just simply took what I had there, did the offset, and got it done. Question: when you did offset, didn't the spacing change by 0.2 of a millimeter? That's negligible. Either more cuts or wider curve for more flexibility. Yes, but you can't get more. Technically, you can't get more curve. Your curve is what your curve is. And so I did that's by doing what you just seen. That was what I did to create the effect of more curve. Would applying sealant make the hinges too brittle? I seal everything I do. Every one I've got on all my purses, they are done with a lacquer finish, and I'm not talking about one coat. I might have half a dozen coats of lacquer finish on them when I'm done, and I haven't had anybody complaining about any issues. And then Michael saying it would depend on what you use. Something like oil-based rubber finish shouldn't be a problem. But like I use the rattle cans for everything, and my Rust-Oleum lacquer, and I've not had an issue. All right, now I made one work on a Dome 4.6 Luan winter chicken dinner. All right. Now, guys, I've seen a lot of 1s, 2, and here we go. Michael's 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, I love it. I love seeing that. That means that we're not wasting our time. We've got 75 people still in the stream. Now I'm going to pass the plate, and we're not through yet. I think it was Michael asked about looking at. Oh, you know what? I'm going to tease you. Don't go anywhere. Look at this. This is a specialty hinge, and it's something that I do on some of my more elaborate pieces. Well, there's a living hinge, but you can't see me anymore. Where did I go? It has a backing on it, but she still flexes like nobody's business. It's backed with satin, red satin. You can put different colors, do different things with it, but that gives you a tremendous amount of flex, and it's absolutely beautiful. But Michael mentioned that he was wanting to look at an example of a hinge like that, and we're going to lay that out here in a minute and real quick create a living hinge. In fact, Michael, what material, what thickness material do you want to see it designed with? And let's come on down here. Chicago Bob, thank you, my brother. Thank you. Got a, so I guess that's a super thanks of $10. All right, banners. All right. So scrolling across the bottom now are the ways that you can contribute to Hobo with Wood and keep this channel going. If you've learned something tonight and it's been something that you feel like it's definitely worth your time, how long have we been here? 45 minutes. Any donation would be greatly appreciated. This is my job, folks. This is what I do for a living. This is how I pay my bills. It's how I keep my lights on. You are not required to pay a dang thing. It is greatly appreciated if you do. I ordered my first pizza in probably 3 years the other night, and I damn near had another heart attack. I got the Hawaiian pizza and a cinnamon dessert from Papa John's, and I had their 20% off coupon off the entire order. And once I tipped the driver 20%, a stinking pizza is $37. I was like, holy crap. No, I don't go out. I eat in. I fix all my own food. Eating out is too expensive. All right. I hope Michael, you still, and was Michael, wasn't it? You was wanting to see that original or that unique hinge. Pretty sure it was Michael H. Pretty sure that was you. I hope you're still here, my friend. I don't see any comments. I know it takes a second, but if he's not here, does anybody else want to see how to set up something similar to this? Oh, there he is. Okay. So I'm going to assume you're working with 3mm wood. I'm going to jump over here to Lightburn. Lightburn. All right. I'm going to delete all this. What have I got up here? Oh, there's another Living Hinge that I did. I haven't. Oh no, that is that. That is that. And it was 3mm X and Y. All right. Now the hinge that you asked about in the comments, I went in here and set my grid up with a visual grid spacing of 3mm. And I'm going to come down here. I'm going to select my, oh, I gotta switch. There we go. So I've gone into the gears and set up my visual grid spacing to 3mm. Then I grab my pencil tool and I hold my shift key, start a line, and in holding your shift key, you probably all know it would draw a straight line. But did you know if you come up here, draw a perfect 45? Then I'll click there and then draw over. And I want to do we'll do about 30mm. So there's 3. So we're going to do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I'll come down. Oh, I got to click it and then come down here to 45mm and click it again. Then I'm going to just come back here to where I get my crosshairs, holding my shift key, get a 45, get my crosshairs, and there we go. Holding my shift key, get a 45 and do the 3mm, done. Now, you can't group that to that. You can't attach it, but you can group it. So now with that grouped, I go into my array tool. I use my X spacing of 3mm. Start generating my columns. And the other night when I had my huge stumbling block with that crazy open path, this is where I got kind of lost and jumbled up. But I'm going to zoom out a little bit. That's what I wanted to do. Now I've got 9 columns. Let's start putting in some rows. And I've got my shift by half turned on. If you don't have your shift by half turned on, it's just going to give you a bunch of columns of those exact same thing. But if you shift by half, and now because this particular design has this tangent coming down 3 millimeters and this one coming up 3 millimeters, I leave my Y spacing at 0. I do not do any Y spacing with this design. Just did I lose that? Nope, I didn't. Hit the wrong button. Do it real quick. Nope, you got to group them. Group them. Grid array. 3 millimeter spacing, not 33. And let's give it, a minute ago, we just seen that needed 20 some odd rows, and we'll give it 30 rows. We're doing no Y spacing, but shift by half and say okay. And now there is an array of that living hinge, but now you need to make it for your material. And on this hinge, the way I cut it is I will, did I group those? Nope, I need to group them. Group it all. And then you want your living hinge to go to the edge of your material. You do not want your living hinge to stop before it gets to the edge of material. So I come in here to, you could do it here since this is half a piece, but here they all overlap. I come to the middle of this piece. And in fact, grab that crosshair and put it right there in that 3 millimeter. And in fact, I don't know if you guys can see that grid or not. Let me turn that grid up on a higher contrast. Hopefully it'll show up for you. There you go. So now I've got that right in that corner. So I know that that's at the edge of the 3 millimeters. So now I will start drawing out a toolpath from that square, rectangle. I don't want to put it all on toolpath. I got to deselect that first. Sometimes the priorities aggravate the snot out of me out here. Select my square, select a toolpath, come in right there. And now I will start scrolling out and down. And it's not going to let me. I've got to get my fingers going here. There we go. And then to right there. Nope, not there. Right there. Didn't quite get there. That's okay. I can move it. Oh, I was there. It's just not at the 3 millimeter mark. Undo. And this is where, you know, things get a little tedious, but you want to take it right to the edge of your piece there. And now you can select your original array, select your toolpath, use your cut tool, cut shapes. And when you do that, all of those pieces on the outside are now got the ants running around them. Hit your delete button. And now you've got a nice clean edge at the top and the opposite at the bottom. And that makes for a really nice living hinge look. All right. So we're coming up on an hour, and I think that's going to be good on this one. Are there any questions about this? But before we do leave, I'm going to jump over here to email and look for any of you guys' emails with your projects with Living Designs. Let's see here. What's Chris says, this is going to save me so much time. I was planning on spending next day or two making test pieces. Now I just need to download the files. Yep. In fact, let me put that link in here now. Turn Chris off. And let me find that link. Got to come over here. Well, I hope I didn't just lose you. All right, no, there we go. Right there. I did all of this yesterday, but I've cut and pasted so many things now that it's all off of my. You know what? Maybe if I look at the, I'll find it way down. Nope, it's gone. It's off my. I've rebooted the whole computer. It's gone, but we'll get there. I'll find it real fast. I should have done this before going live, but I forgot. Log in. And media. There we go. Copy. Copy URL. Close you. Go back to here. And now let's see if this will do that. Paste. Did that show up? Yeah. All right. That should work. I just put in the comments a link to the Living Hinge test zip folder. And what that folder contains, it contains the Lightburn file that you've seen originally and an SVG. Just in case you're not using Lightburn, you're using one of those other tools that you can import SVGs into and you want to play with these, there is an SVG of that file included in that download. All right. So now I got that. Now let's go to my inbox. All right. So today, I got to help out a fellow, and we got to talking about what I was going to be doing. And let's switch. This is a Japanese lantern that he did. Now, this is not his file. He said he got it. I don't know if he got it off of Etsy or what, but it's got a living hinge there in the roof. And I just thought that was really pretty. And I said, you know what? I like that design. I might have to kind of do my own take on that. That's kind of cool. Let's see who else has got something going on here. Dale's recipe book. There's what he was talking about in the comments earlier, guys. So he's got a living hinge that'll wrap around the spine of the book. That's kind of like my cash box. Oh, boy. So this is all wood. And this, I did, instead of a solid living hinge like he did, I put a spine on it so I could actually engrave something on the spine and put it in the bookcase, and you can see what it is. So, and that opens up, and you got to, I call it my stash box. You can hide what you want to. Put you a small little derringer in there and have it laying on your coffee table, and nobody knows what's in there. Let's see who else sent us something in here. Nipa sent us what? Nipa, I don't have a still. Oh, it's a video. Okay, well, let's see how this will do. Nope, could not preview. Okay, yep, that one doesn't pull over very easy. Chicago Bob. All right. What we got here? We got, oh, okay. So he's done a coaster holder with a living hinge on the bottom. Now that's cool. Now I like that. Oh, no, that is really cool. Got the kitty cat. Said that too loud. My dog's going to get upset. Got the cat holding up the coasters. Now that is a really cool coaster holder. I like that. And then you got the yin and the yang on the slate. Man, that's nice. That's really nice. All right. So Sorry, I wasn't able to pull up the Living Hinge or the video from NEPA because I would really like to see that, but it did not. It was wanting to download, and I don't want to do all that while I'm streaming, and I'll probably blow something up. All right, let's see. Da, 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 da. I guess Rich is parabolic. I guess he's splitting hairs. That's a parabolic hinge, not a living hinge. I guess I don't know. Chris says 4 moving information I know from trivia to that's where I can apply it. Yeah, it's not just trivial information. Now you know how to use this, take it and design it and put it into, and that's what I was trying to do with this. It was showing you how you can implement that. And if you haven't watched this live stream yet, go back and you'll want to watch it now that you know how to create your hinge. Now it's about where do you place it? How long does it need to be? Being able to measure that total radius of the design so you'll know, and all that's discussed in that last live stream. Let's see here. Download the files. What, Ron, did you say did you say you take a discount on donations through YouTube, but not on your site? As far as what they charge me, because my PayPal account was set up through my business. I used to be in an automotive business, and it was Fortner Investments was its legal name, and that's what the PayPal is linked to. And businesses, PayPal takes a small transaction fee. YouTube, whenever you do a super thanks through YouTube, they take 30% of it. But hey, I get 70% of it. But the only thing that I have that doesn't take a transaction fee or charge money is Zelle, and that's scrolling down there at the bottom. If you have a bank account, your bank most likely already uses Zelle. And if you go into Zelle, you can find me by putting in the email, and it'll be coming up right there. Zelle, hobowithwood@gmail.com. And that's how you can find Zelle. And I get 100% of the donations through Zelle. All right. So how did you determine the length of the torsion link, or did I miss that? No, Brandon, you didn't miss it, because what I look for when I'm doing my design like this, whenever if you go back and watch the other live stream when I did this, I created this entire living hinge in real time specifically for this piece. I let the size of my needed hinge to determine what that length is going to be. I want to have a minimum of 2, if not 3, of those columns that are the constant columns running through there. So I typically have no less than 3 hinges with a alternating staggered down to 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, or whatever. So if that total hinge is 30 millimeters, and I want 3 cuts in it, and I want 3 millimeters between each cut, then I have to take 30 millimeters, subtract the 6 millimeters that's going to be between those cuts. So now I'm down to 24 millimeters, and then divide that by 3. So it's 8 millimeters, if I was only doing a 30 millimeter cut. So I let the size of my hinge dictate the length of those cuts, but I want to have a minimum of 3 and 2. I can have more, but I want a minimum of 3. So hopefully that helps a little bit there, Brandon. And like I said, and this is my experience just from me designing and working with these things. There might be somebody in here that says, hey, no, that's completely wrong, but I've been doing it for a year and a half, and that's what I do, and it works. Looking for more questions. Michael says he loves that spine. I'm guessing not talking about mine. Talking about the flex box. Yeah, I like that. I do puns on names of movies, TV shows, books, and do that. I love the coaster holder. Consider that concept stolen. So, Chicago Bob, know that Chris is going to be making your coaster holder, but he's all the way down there in Australia. So, you're most likely not going to cross paths at the same craft show. Yeah, 3D HP Jerry. It's personal PayPal accounts and friends and family. They don't charge any fees, but mine's already linked to my banking account, and it's too much to go through. And PayPal is nowhere near as bad as Google. Google's, like I said, 30%. And Chicago Bob says he'll be using Zelle from now on. It's appreciated. Michael H., what was the link for Hobo? A unicorn came up? That's not supposed to happen because the name even says it's the. Let me go look at it again. I don't think there's a way to share anymore. Go here. Did anybody else do that yet and get a unicorn? Media library. Living Hinges test zip. Copied. Go back to StreamYard and post. You know what? Before I do that, let me just test that. I don't want to do all this and you guys not get that file. Come back here. I'm actually going to download it. Download that file. I'm going to go over here to Lightburn. Import from downloads. Actually, you know what? No, I got to go to downloads and extract that. Downloads. All right. So you should have got that Living Hinge test folder. And if you open it, then there should have been 2 files in there because I just did that. I just downloaded it myself and got that. Let me come back over here to StreamYard. Anybody else get a unicorn and not the zip folder? Okay, Brandon got it. I didn't go far enough down. Got it. Okay. I don't know where you got the unicorn because I do have a unicorn cut there. I don't know where that got mixed up. All right, let's see. Done. Oh, okay. So Lori didn't do it. All right, so let me post it again. Paste, and send. All right. So I posted that again. And I'm gonna keep scrolling. Hopefully somebody can verify, yes, they got, yeah, with all the time you save me, I can spend on making pretty hinge designs. Nope, I got the zip. Okay, so Chris said he got the zip folder. So, yep, and Bob says he got the Living Hinge. Brother, I don't know how you got that unicorn file. I do have one, but I don't know how you got it from that. I got files that work for me. Good. All right. Any more questions, guys? Put a question mark, and I'm getting down here toward the bottom. If I haven't got your question, post it again if I missed it. What we got here? Midnight Sun Woodwork. How did you first figure out your ballpark cut settings when you started cutting wood a year and a half ago? I'm having trouble figuring out my 40 watt. Nasty 4-letter word, my brother. Test, and test some more. Aggravating, but if you if you use your, are you, hopefully you're using Lightburn. And if you are, you hopefully you're using your cut library, because once you have dialed in that cut and you've got it figured out, you save that in your cut library, man, you ain't gonna have any more troubles. You're gonna, every time you get a new batch of wood in, I would probably, don't count on that working, even though it was your settings that worked for you last time, may not work again. So I wouldn't, if you pulled in a file, like anytime I pull in and I'm going to cut out one of my purses, it's a 4-hour cut maybe. I do not want to waste 4 hours cutting only to find out when I go to lift off the bed that it didn't cut all the way through. So I do test cuts before I even start the job. Even though it worked fine yesterday, I ain't taking that chance. Test, define your settings, and then test before you do your job. I will be posting a link to the file on Patreon. Will you be posting a link to the file on Patreon? I'm guessing you were talking about the file that I just posted and shared. I'm hoping, Mark. I'm getting down here, trying to get down here to the bottom. Michael says that I copied and pasted again. I steal the uniform. Where can I get the files? You're still not. How does everybody else get that? And you're not. You're getting a unicorn. I don't understand that. I'll email me. Email me at hobowithwood@gmail.com. Hobowithwood@gmail.com. And let me know, are you using Lightburn? If you're using Lightburn, I will just email you the Lightburn file. And that goes for anybody. If anybody's having a problem with that link, email me at hobowithwood@gmail.com. And do you need the SVG or the Lightburn? And I will email you that out after we get off this. And will I be sharing the file for the book cover? If you're talking about mine, where the whatever I did with it, my Flexbox is on hobowithwood.com for sale. That cookbook that you've seen, the cover there, that wasn't mine. That was Dell Dubs that did that. Looking for more comments and questions rather. If you Jack says if you copy the link and paste it in the web page, you get the unicorn door trim. That's weird that you got the unicorn. Others have said they got the test files, the zip folder. I don't know why some of you are not. That don't make no sense. Not only test, but clean your laser head before doing a long cut. Amen, brother. Yeah, I have no idea either, Michael. Just like I said, email me. Yeah, because Midnight says he got the zip. A lot of people are getting the zip. And Chicago Bob, I appreciate you as much or more than you appreciate me. Let's see. Old Guy Design says, why are they copying and pasting? I just clicked the link and it downloaded the file. And maybe it's different. Like some of them are saying different Windows versions, different. I don't know. Yes, ditto to Chicago Bob. Thanks for all the teaching, files, live stream, and sharing of all the knowledge. Well, I don't know how much knowledge it is and how much BS it is, but these are things that I've gleaned, things that I've learned, and they work. They work for me. All right. And it looks like there's a mixture of results and people getting the zip and some getting the link. But guys, I strongly encourage you to cut those out. Cut out both of them. The ones that's just the straight cuts, and then cut out the one, and they're grouped in two different groups. So you can see the difference in the flexibility between the ones with the offset and the ones with not. And that radius tool is actually with each group of 4. So the radius tool is on there twice. And what you could actually do when you're working in Lightburn, once you get an idea of what settings you need to use to make the cut or the turn you're wanting to make, are you trying to do a full 90? 90s are not, you don't typically do 90s when you're using living hinges. Not typically. This is just showing that it can be done. But if you created a tool path, like something like this, where you could measure the radius of your design in Lightburn, you could say, oh, look, okay, that's going to be at least a 40 millimeter radius, or that then you would know about maybe what settings you would need for your living hinge. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what Michael's talking about there. Something BS. I don't know. All right, guys, if there's no more questions, we're going to wrap this up and get out of here. We're an hour and 17 into it, and 67 of you still here. A lot of them already bailed because we knew we were winding down, getting out. I'm surprised that this many people showed up on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, but hopefully enough of you felt like it was worth your time. And I'm going to get out of here. And just like always, when you hit this end stream button, you never know when it's actually going to end stream. So I'm just going to hit the end stream button and just continue to talk to you until we say finally it'll